Just a second.
भाई ट्रेनिंग नहीं आएगा ना सर जा तो रहा है वही तो नहीं करता ना फ्लाइट स्ट्रीम में भी जा रहा है उनको
I'll
भी
start over
फ्लाइट
again.
स्ट्रीम दिख
Yeah, please restart again.
रहा है
Start
भाई
from the
नहीं
beginning.
Is it visible now, sir?
और भाई
Okay, now visible.
So I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and limbus.
Start from slide 1.
Uh, I'll be speaking on embryology development, structural considerations of the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency theories, blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of limbus. The corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. The corneal development is induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cup that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a true basement membrane, but the anteriormost portion of the stroma has a different structure which I'll discuss further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's membrane. So this, if you look here, this is basically the lens vesicle and the optic cup, and the surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens vesicle and optic cup later differentiates into the cornea, corneal epithelium. So, and then the three waves of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, of the mesenchyme and neural crest cells lead to the formation of corneal stroma and the iris stroma and the vasculature of the iris.
माइक कहाँ पे है कहाँ पे
So,
इसी में
moving to the layers of cornea, let's consider them one by one. The structure
Am I
of the
audible?
epithelium. Epithelium is a stratified squamous, non-keratinized.
Good afternoon, everyone. Prasad, are you there?
Sir,
Just a second.
nobody else is there.
No, there are 28 guys I could see.
Okay, yeah. So shall we start then?
Just wait for a few minutes. Agam was not picking my phone. Aishwarya, please ask all residents to join.
YouTube में आ रहा है
Prasad, I think you should start. It's already 4.
YouTube में भी कहाँ है कुछ और आ रहा है मैं तो नहीं आ रहा YouTube में भी आ रहा हाँ ठीक है आ रहा
May I continue? So the structure of the epithelium
Good afternoon, everyone.
stratified squamous, non-keratinized.
I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and
five
limbus.
layers.
The prescription for
Basal
today's
cells
class
are
is Dr.
polygonal in
Praful
shape,
Maharana.
followed by
I'll be speaking on the embryology and development of cornea,
and the
structural
flat
considerations
cells
of
line
each
the
layer of cornea and their clinical significance.
corneal
Corneal
surface.
transparency
These squamous
theories,
cells have microvilli
the
in
blood
them,
and nerve supply
which,
of cornea, and the
in
anatomy of
the
limbus.
formation of the precorneal tears.
So,
The epithelial basal lamina,
the corneal
is a
epithelium is
fast
derived
through
from the
basement.
surface ectoderm,
The anterior presenting
induced
cells
by the
in
lens
corneal
vesicle and the optic cup.
are the Langerhans.
The mesenchyme forms the Bowman's membrane
So,
and the stroma.
the function of the corneal
Bowman's
epithelium
membrane is not a true basement membrane,
innate
but rather the
membrane
anteriormost portion of the stroma
and
itself.
also
Prasad, just check if you have shared your slide properly.
code that stabilizes the
The PPT is not visible.
A stabilized PF film is
ठीक है ना
very
मतलब कुछ
important
जरूरत नहीं
for
है
excellent visual quality
भाई
because
ट्रेनिंग
it
में
regularizes the refractive surface of the cornea.
जा तो रहा है वही तो
Moving to the Bowman's membrane,
नहीं करता ना फ्लाइट स्ट्रीम में भी जा रहा है उनको भी
start over
Yeah, please restart again. Start from the beginning.
part of the stroma.
is it visible now sir?
8 to 14 microns thick.
और भाई
Acellular and it
Okay, now visible.
So I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and limbus.
Start from slide 1.
I'll be speaking on embryology development,
structural considerations of the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency theories, blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of limbus. Development in basically the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. The corneal development is induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cups that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a true basement membrane, but the anterior-most portion of the stroma has a different structure which I discuss further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's membrane, made of glycoproteins and mucoproteins. I'll discuss that. So this, if you look here, this is basically the lens vesicle and the optic cup, and the surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens vesicle and optic cup later differentiates into the cornea. The anterior stroma, each anterior corneal epithelium. The anterior 1/3 of stroma. So, and then the three ways of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, while of the mesenchyme and neural crest cells lead to the formation of corneal stroma, and the iris stroma and the vasculature of the iris. Such that vertically interweave to the layers of cornea, causing consider them one by one of the structure of the epithelium. Epithelium is a stratified squamous, non-keratinized, only
Good afternoon, everyone. Prasad, are there?
in the form of lamellae in the posterior 2/3 of stoma. Just a second.
Nobody else
The
is
percentage of keratin sulfate is to the
No, there are 28 guys I could see.
Stroma is about 1.5.
So shall we start then?
Compared to 2.23.
Just wait
stroma,
for a
which
few
means
minutes.
dermatin sulfate is much more in the anterior stroma, and this has a higher retention of water.
I was not picking my phone. Aishwarya, please ask all registrants to join.
Long time to resolve.
Prasad, I think you should start. It's already 4.
But it
YouTube में भी आ रहा है,
easily
कुछ और आ रहा है, मैं तो नहीं आ रहा YouTube
water
में।
binding capacity is higher.
आ रहा है। हाँ, ठीक है, आ रहा है।
The Duas layer is a debated entity, which is the posterior most part of the structure of the epithelium.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Non-keratin.
I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and limbus. The prescription for today's class is Dr. Praful Maharana.
Followed by
I'll be speaking on the embryology and development of cornea, the structural considerations of each layer of cornea and their clinical significance, corneal transparency theories, the blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of limbus.
Formation of the precorneal tears.
So, the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm, induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cup are the Langerhans. The mesenchyme forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not a true basement membrane, but rather the anterior portion of the stroma itself.
Prasad, just check if you are saying your slide properly. PPT is not visible.
ठीक है ना, मतलब कुछ दिक्कत नहीं है। वही तो।
Moving to the Bowman's membrane.
Yeah, please restart again. Start from the beginning.
Part of the stroma. Is it visible now? So it's 8 to 14 microns thick.
Alright.
Acellular, and it's
Okay, now visible.
of the endothelial cell. So I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and limbus.
Start from slide 1.
And is about 3 to 4 microns. I'll be speaking on embryology and development, structural considerations of the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency theories, blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of limbus. In basically the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. The corneal development is induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cups that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a true basement membrane, but the anteriormost portion of the stroma has a different structure which I will discuss further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's membrane made of glycoproteins and mucoproteins. I discussed that. So this, if you look here, this is basically the lens vesicle and the optic cup, and the surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens vesicle and optic cup later differentiates into the cornea. The anterior stroma, the anterior corneal epithelium. So and then the three ways of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, while of the mesenchymal neural crest cells lead to the formation of corneal stroma, and the iris stroma and the vasculature of the iris is such that so vertically interweave to the layers of cornea, consider them one by one of the structure of the epithelium. Epithelium is stratified form is non-keratinized only the form of lamellae, the posterior two-third of small size of the the percentage of lateral sulfate is to the
I could see.
Okay.
So shall we start then?
2.23.
Just wait for a few minutes.
Lateral sulfate is much more in the anterior stroma, and this has a higher retention of water.
Otherwise, I'm picking my phone. Aishwarya, please ask all the people to join.
Long time to resolve.
Professor, I think you should start at 74.
But if you get the water binding capacity is high. So they believe that it is only the small size of the Duas layer is a debated entity, which is the posterior most part of the structure of the epithelium.
Good afternoon. I will be talking about the anatomy of cornea and lens. Specifically for basic classes, Dr. Praful Maharana.
Followed by
I will be speaking on the embryology and development of cornea, the structural considerations of lines of cornea and their clinical significance, corneal transparency series, the blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the imaging of limbus formation of the corneal tears. So the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm, induced by the lens vesicle and the optic nerve are the Langerhans. The mesenchyme forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not a true basement membrane, but rather the anterior portion of the stroma itself.
Professor, just take this one slide properly.
That stabilizes the
People is not visible.
a stabilized TFL is regularizes the moving to the Bowman's membrane.
Please restart again. Start from the beginning.
Part of the stroma is it visual 8 to 14 microns thick, acellular, and it's
Okay, now visible.
So I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea and limbus.
Start from slide 1.
I'll be speaking on embryology and development, structural considerations of the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency series, blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of limbus. The corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. The corneal development is induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cup that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a true basement membrane, but the anteriormost portion of the stroma has a different structure which I will discuss further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the endocorneal endothelium and the Descemet's measures made of glycoproteins and mucoproteins. I'll discuss that. So this, if you look here, this is basically the lens vesicle and the optic cup, and the surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens vesicle and optic cup later differentiates into the cornea. The anterior stroma, the anterior corneal epithelium. So and then the three ways of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, while of the mesenchymal neural stroma lead to the formation of corneal stroma, and the iris stroma and the movement of the iris so vertically interweaving to the layers of cornea, letting consider them one by one of the structure of the epithelium. Epithelium is a stratified form, non-keratinized, in the form of lamellin, the posterior two-third of just a second. The percentage of nitrogen sulfate is to the stroma is about 1.9. So shall we start them? Compared to 2.23 stroma, which means nitrogen sulfate is much more in the anterior stroma, and this has a higher retention of water.
I'm taking my phone. Aishwarya, please ask all to join. But I think you should start. It's already 4.
Water binding capacity is high. So I believe that this the Tuas layer is a debated entity. It is the posterior most part of the structure of the epithelium. I will be talking about the anatomy of cornea and followed by layers on the embryology and development of cornea, the considerations of line cornea and their clinical significance. Corneal transparency theories cells have microvilli, blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the formation of the corneal tube. So the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm, induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cup are the Langerhans. The mesenchyme forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not a true basement membrane, but rather the anterior portion of the stroma itself. That stabilizes the film is microns thick, and it's okay now so I'll be talking about the anatomy of cornea. I'll be speaking on embryology and development, structure and consideration of the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency and blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy of development. In basically, the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. The corneal development is induced by the lens vesicle and the optic cup that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a two-portion membrane, but the anterior portion of the stroma has a different structure which I will discuss further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's measures made of glycoproteins and mucoproteins. So this, if you look here, this is basically the lens vesicle and the optic cup, and the surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens vesicle and and optic curve later differentiates into the cornea.
The anterior stroma,
Each corneal epithelium.
the anterior one-third of stroma,
So, and then the three ways of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, while of the medial diameter of the stroma lead to the formation of corneal stroma, and the iris stroma and the movement of the iris is vertically moving to the layers of cornea, letting consider them one by one of the epithelium. Stratified forms non-keratinized only in the form of laminae, the posterior third of size of the second. The percentage of nitrogen sulfate is to the stroma is about 1.9.
So shall we solve them?
2.23 stroma, nitrogen sulfate is much more in the anterior stroma, and this has a higher retention of water binding capacity is high. So I believe that this the Duas layer is a debated entity. It is the posterior most part of the structure of the epithelium.
I will be talking about the anatomy of cornea and
followed by
on the embryology and development of cornea. Corneal transparency cells have microvilli blood and nerve supply of cornea and the formation of the corneal tube. So, the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm, induced by the lens recycle and the are the Langerhans. Region forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not a true basal membrane, but rather the anterior portion of the stroma itself. Protein microns thick, and it's okay now we will. So I'll be talking about the I'll be speaking on embryology and development, structure considering what is the layers of cornea, the corneal transparency, and blood and nerve supply of cornea, and the anatomy the corneal epithelium is derived from the surface ectoderm. Then the corneal development is induced by the lens recycle and the optic that lie behind the surface ectoderm. The mesenchyme or the mesoderm forms the Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Bowman's membrane is not an actual membrane because it does not have a inner membrane, but the anterior most portion of the stroma has a different regulatory against the larger further, and that is called the Bowman's membrane. The neural crest cells lead to the development of the corneal endothelium and the Descemet's matrix made of glycoprotein and mucoprotein. So if you look here, this is basically the lens recycle and the optic cup. Surface ectoderm that is continuous over this lens recycle and optic cup later differentiates into the anterior stroma, each corneal epithelium, and then the three ways of migration of the neural crest cells lead to the formation of the corneal stroma, while of the medial diameter of the stroma lead to the formation of corneal stroma, and the iris stroma and the movement of the iris is vertically moving to the layers of cornea, letting consider the development of the epithelium. non-keratinized in the form of lamellar in the posterior third of the size of the pigment. The percentage of keratin sulfate is to the stroma is about 1.9 compared to 2.23 stroma, which means keratin sulfate is much more in the anterior stroma.
So can somebody answer this question? Ki what is the distribution of collagen stroma, collagens in stroma, corneal stroma, and how they differ anteriorly and posteriorly, and what is its surgical importance? Chandra Devi? Chandra Devi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please answer this.
That's the integral membrane will contain type 1 collagen.
No. What is the difference in pattern of arrangement of collagen fibers in anterior and posterior corneal stroma, and how it is relevant for surgery, corneal surgery?
Sir, in posterior stroma, it is laminated appearance. Hello.
Yeah, you are audible. Please answer this. But there is some disturbance. Can you switch off your mic, please? Okay. Next, Avilasa Mahapatra. Are you there, Avilasa? Yeah, Avilasa, what is the difference in pattern of arrangement of collagen fibers in corneal stroma, anterior stroma and posterior stroma?
Anterior stroma में ज़्यादा weaving होती है.
Abhilasha, am I audible to you?
That is why if we remove.
If you don't know the answer, then please tell us so that we can take you.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. Abhilasha, do you know the answer?
Sir, anterior stroma has more interweaving, so it has more interweaving fibers, so it has more biomechanical strength, sir.
So how is it important for us during surgery? Okay, ठीक है. Some senior Toshit.
I'm not aware of the surgical importance.
Okay. Any SR? Any cornea SR logged in? Aishwarya?
Sir, the anterior fibers are woven and have more biomechanical strength. So during refractive surgery, we do the ablation of the anterior stroma, which can lead to the reduction in the biomechanical strength of the cornea and can lead to post-LASIK ectasia.
Okay, Abhijit?
Sir, in surgical incisions,
So we are running short of time, I think. We just 1 minute left. So it is important in lamellar surgeries, okay? When you are doing a lamellar corneal surgery like DALK or manual LK, manual lamellar dissection, when you are dissecting the anterior part, it is very difficult to do a lamellar dissection. But once you reach deeper and deeper plane, the surgical dissection becomes very easy. And then that okay, I have a deeper stroma. Okay, so this is the surgical importance of this distribution. And the other importance is the corneal curvature is supposed to be because of this anterior arrangement, the arrangement of the anterior stroma, because they are densely compact and they form almost around 21 degree with the basement membrane. So that is why the corneal curvature is there. Okay. Posteriorly, the same arrangement is not there with basement membrane. Okay. So these are the two important clinical implication of this of arrangement of this stromal fibers. Are there any questions, Prakash, for you? I will check the chat section. Okay, no questions. So we can move on to the next presentation. Thank you, Prakash. It was a very good presentation. Who is the next presenter? Please start sharing your screen. Prasad, are you there? Am I audible to you?
Sir,
Okay,
I'm
I'm
Dr. Anand, now
okay. I'm
presenting next presentation.
Fine, and you can start.
Yes. Very good evening, one and all. Today's the topic anatomy and anterior chamber angle. So coming to, I am discussing with anatomy of the anterior chamber angle in different methods of examination and their clinical significance. Coming to anterior chamber, it is an ellipsoid cavity which is lined anteriorly by endothelial lining, posteriorly by anterior surface of the iris and pupillary portion of the anterior portion of the lens. Then peripherally inner surface of the trabecular meshwork and apex by anterior surface of the ciliary body, where the root of the iris and inner surface of the trabecular meshwork meets. Then coming to the pathways of aqueous humor, there is two types of pathways. One is conventional or canalicular pathway, where the aqueous goes through the trabecular meshwork, where filters and goes into the Schlems canal. Through the Schlems canal, collector channels gets collected, and these collector channels takes to the episcleral veins and circulates into venous system and lymphatic system too. Then second pathway is unconventional or extracanalicular pathway or secondary system, where uveoscleral or uveovortex veins will take the pathway. It is an unconventional because this pathway goes through the uveoscleral space through into actually it takes about 4 to 17% of outflow, and it's the uveoscleral pathway of declines with age, and the total conventional pathway is the primary pathway, where it takes the aqueous from 83 to 96%. It also lower in younger age group, but over the age increasing age there is decreasing the both conventional and unconventional pathways decreases. So the episcleral venous pressure also increases with age. So this venous resistance gets with over the age. IOP also goes towards peaking side. Then coming to the normal structures of anterior chamber angle on gonioscopy, you can observe the non-pigmented whitish line here, that is Swalbase line. There is mild pigmentation anterior to Swalbase line, and there is a non-pigmented whitish layer which is anterior trabecular meshwork, and there is a dense pigmented layer which is posterior trabecular meshwork, which is the actual trabecular meshwork, which is posterior trabecular meshwork, and then there is a faint white line, broad white line, which is called as scleral spur, and there is a brownish area where the iris meets the trabecular meshwork endothelial cells, that is called ciliary body band. Coming to on cross-sectional image, you can see Swalbase line with trabecular meshwork, and these trabecular meshwork spaces opens into Schlems canal, and the intrascleral veins are intrascleral mid-scleral plexus communicates to the episcleral veins, and the venous system collects the aqueous, circulates into the venous flow. Then coming to histopathological image showing the trabecular meshwork borders, where it is limited by Swalbase line anteriorly, and the trabecular meshwork totally, which is anterior trabecular meshwork, which is a non-pigmented trabecular meshwork, also called as non-pigmented trabecular meshwork, and the actual trabecular meshwork stars, and these trabecular spaces filters the aqueous and collected into the Schlems canal. Through the Schlems canal, this aqueous flows into the collector channels. Through the collector channels, it is collected into the intrascleral mid-scleral venous plexus. From there, it goes to episcleral venous plexus. And this is the space which is showing scleral spur. This is of some clinical significance. I will talk on to later slides, upcoming slides. And this is the ciliary body band where we can tell as complete open angle when we see the ciliary body band. Then coming to, this is an image of ultrasound biomicroscopy showing open angles where we can find sclera posteriorly, anteriorly corneal endothelium lining, and posteriorly by iris, anterior surface of the iris, and where the ciliary body band we will see in open angles, and this is the angle where we can see, and through this there is Schlem's canal opens and it gets collected into the collector channels. Then coming to anterior segment OCT, on anterior segment OCT we can see the shadows of the trabecular meshwork here, where these are collected into the Schlem's canal, and this is a banded endothelial limbal lamina where the Solves line starts, and this is the actual trabecular meshwork and gets connected to the Schlem's canal. Coming to Solves line, it is a 50 to 150 micron of width in width, which is actually formed by oblique insertion of the uveal trabeculae, which are uvoscleral meshwork endothelial cells, which gets obliquely inserted and forms the Solves line. Then coming to these borders, anteriorly it is by corneal endothelium, which forms the termination of Descemet membrane, and posteriorly by trabecular meshwork endothelial cells. Then Solves line, coming to clinical significance, see the red arrow showing a prominent thick Solves line. This is an image of Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome with prominent Solves line and with abnormal prominent iris processes. You can see this is the picture of Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome, and this is the gonioscopy of a patient with pseudo-exfoliative syndrome. This is the pigmented line which is called Ciampolesi line, which is anterior to the trabecular meshwork. This is the abnormal pseudo-exfoliative material deposition at the angle with a prominent abnormal material collection. Then coming to the next structure, scleral spur, which is a thick whitish band because of mainly composed of 75 to 80% of collagen fibers. This scleral spur, which is runs parallel to the limbus and projects inwards into the scleral canal, means Schlem's canal, which is this scleral spur having myofibroblast like scleral spur cells, which actually detects the stress and strain of the scleral spur during ciliary muscle contraction and increased IOP states. It will detects the myofibroblast cells, which detects the stress and strain of the angle structures. Then coming to anatomy of the surgical limbus, because anatomy gives the mainly clinical significance while we are going through the operation, and when we are dealing with trabeculectomy, see this is the banded 2 mm banded zone of surgical limbus, which is showing anterior limbal line, mid limbal line, and posterior limbal line. Anterior limbal line corresponds to the corneoscleral junction. Mid limbal line corresponds to Solves line, where you can actually see the trabecular meshwork structure, which filters the aqueous. Then posterior limbal line, where which indicates the scleral spur. Because while in children, in PCG patients, we will do trabeculotomy, you can make a slit-like incision. I will show in later slides the image also, and we can introduce the trabectome, and we will tear the trabecular meshwork apart to make the about 120 degrees of angle clearly open. Then coming to actual trabecular meshwork is called as posterior trabecular meshwork, which is this is the actual trabecular meshwork which filters the aqueous, and anterior trabecular meshwork or non-pigmented trabecular meshwork, which is just lined by the uveal endothelial cells. Then coming to trabecular meshwork is a sieve-like connective tissue which is lined anteriorly by Schwalbe's line and posteriorly by scleral spur, with beam of endothelial lines which is lined by beam of endothelial cells. This is trabecular meshwork totally. And in these trabeculae are arranged in a different uh, pores of sizes where the filtration goes on in a microscopic structure. So morphologically and functionally, the trabecular meshwork is differentiated into three types. From inside to out, when we go from inside to anterior chamber, inside to out onto the sclera. So uveal meshwork and corneoscleral meshwork and juxtacanalicular meshwork. Coming to the structural view of the animated structure of the trabecular meshwork. So from in to out. So uveal meshwork, which is of having pores, a larger pore size of 25 to 70 microns. These are the larger pores where the active UVS active aqueous filtration hasn't take place here, but the corneoscleral meshwork where the pores decreases in size compared to uveal meshwork. These are of 5 to 50 micron in size pores, and the actual meshwork which actively filters the aqueous is juxtacannular meshwork, which is of 2 to 10 microns in size, and then these trabecular meshwork spaces gets connected into the Schlem's canal. From there, the aqueous is collected into collector channels. Through the collector channels, intrascleral veins or mid-scleral venous plexus collects the aqueous and connected to the episcleral veins. And then this is the scleral spur where you can make a, I have already told this is having surgical significance of the scleral spur where in trabeculotomy we made a nick here. We will introduce the trabectome and we will tear these trabecular layers in as a opening. And these are the uveal meshwork endothelial cell which are gets inserted onto the anterior fibers of the ciliary muscle, where it having a clinical significance of while we are giving cholinergic drugs, these anterior fibers of the ciliary muscle contracts and these trabecular meshwork spaces gets open, and the aqueous gets filtered through this narrow angle. Then coming to the differences between three trabecular meshworks, it's a uveoscleral meshwork is a 12-layer band-like and rope-like trabecular meshwork having pore size I have already told 25 to 75 microns in size, and then corneoscleral of 5 to 50 micron in size compared to uveoscleral, which is these pores are elliptical in shape, which are these uveal endothelial corneoscleral meshwork is of flat-ended perforated sheets of trabeculae. Coming to juxtacanalicular, which are 2 to 20 microns in size, which are 2 to 5 layers of loosely arranged cells in extracellular matrix. So this is the actual trabecular meshwork which filters and gives normal resistance to the aqueous outflow. So this is called in different names like endothelial meshwork, port tissue or cabriform layer of the trabecular meshwork also. Then coming to trabecular meshwork, where these uveal and corneoscleral trabecular meshwork are arranged in 4 concentric layers. So first layer is collagen layer, mainly predominantly type 1 and type 3 collagen of 640 Armstrongs in periodicity. Second layer is of elastic fibers which are spirally arranged within 1000 Armstrongs, and these elastic fibers gives flexibility to the raised in IOP or lower IOP to the during these conditions gives flexibility to the trabecular meshwork. And the third layer is glass membrane layer, which is in between spiral collagen and the basement membrane of the endothelial layer. And the fourth layer is outermost endothelial layer, gives covering over trabeculae. Then coming to ultrastructure of the trabecular meshwork, total trabecular meshwork is the normal trabecular meshwork where there is no glaucomal developed signs. Then at that level it is well defined thin cylindrical uveal trabecular beams which are arranged in a larger spaces with melanin granules and the material deposits, foreign materials all deposits, and These endothelial cells will have some phagocytic action also here, and they synthesize laminin, collagen, glycosaminoglycans. In endothelium, the cytoplasm of the endothelial cells having two types of myofibrils. One is of 60 micron filament, which is located in the cell periphery and around the nucleus, which involved in cell contraction, motility, phagocytosis, pinocytosis, and cell adhesion functions. The second myofibril is 100 Armstrong composed of pymentin and desmin. It also having similar function, but that not not as a primary myofibril. So it also helps in contraction and motility. Coming to clinical significance of the trabecular meshwork, where this is a pigment dispersion syndrome patient's gonioscopy is showing diffuse loss of the pigmentation and oblique concavity of the peripheral iris. We're showing due to the loss of pigmentation, it having concavity and the dense pigmentation at the trabecular meshwork. Then the second image where the peripheral anterior synechiae formed at the angle structures. These synechiae which are travel along the wall of the angle and gets attached to closes the filtering trabecular meshwork. But coming to iris processes which travels from anterior surface of the iris to the Solvay's line, but there is a open trabecular spaces which gets filters the aqueous. This is a neovascularization of the angle where the neovascular tissue present in the angle. These vessels gets pulls the iris towards the trabecular meshwork. So secondary angle closure happened here. Then coming to this is a gonioscopy image of the PCG, primary congenital glaucoma patient, where the abnormal angle development is seen in both the gonioscopic structures. So coming to this is the animated structure where we can tell as goniotomy, where we can through the gonio lens we can see from the anterior segment by placing some coupling fluid. Then we will visualize the angle and we will tear the angle apart here. Then coming to trabeculotomy, where we will introduce a nick from scleral spur from outside, and through the nick we will introduce into the Schlemm's canal, and through that we will tear all the trabecular meshwork apart and make 120 degrees of the angle open. Then coming to minimally invasive glaucoma surgeries, we will place the whatever the implant or surgery where we are doing. So we will make the Schlemm's canal open here. We will place that. Then coming to clinical significance of the image showing trabeculotomy, where goniotomy, we will place the gonio lens and we will tear the trabecular meshwork here. This is the one clinical picture showing this is a MVR, and we will place Swan-Jacob gonio lens, and we will visualize the angle through the gonio lens, and we will repeat up. Then coming to trabeculotomy, where this is the surgical limbus plane I have already shown, and this is the posterior limbal margin border, where we will make a nick and we will introduce the trabectome and make pass parallel to the limbus, and we will tear towards into the AC and posterior to the endothelial cells. So always careful, taking care not to touch the endothelium. Then coming to Schlemm's canal. Schlemm's canal is a 200 to 400 micron in diameter with circumference of 36 micron, which conducts the aqueous from trabecular meshwork to episcleral venous network. Actually, Schlemm's canal having two walls. One is inner wall and outer wall. Inner wall is a single layer of endothelial cells which is arranged in spindles and having pores to get connected to outer wall. And then the outer wall having single layer of endothelium with no pores. So the outer wall having a torus or lip-like thickening which are observed around the outlet, which keeps the Schlemm's canal open. Then coming to collector channels, almost 25 to 30 collector channels arise from the outer wall of the Schlems canal. These collector channels are Venus-like systems with no valves, and these collector channels divided into indirect and direct. Direct collector channels are called as aqueous veins of Usher. These are 18 number, which is arranged in a laminated fashion. Like see here, these are the aqueous veins of Usher, which are connected directly from the Schlems canal onto the episcleral veins. So these are aqueous veins of Usher connected directly to the episcleral veins, and the rest indirect system connected as deep and mid-scleral plexus and episcleral venous plexus takes the aqueous to the episcleral venous system. Then this is the gonioscopic image of a closed angle primary angle closure glaucoma, and this is an open angle with milder pigmentation anterior to the trabecular meshwork. Then coming to the structural changes ultrastructural changes seen in trabecular meshwork. This is one article published from our center by Professor Ramanjit Siyota ma'am. So changes seen in PACG and POAG. The normal trabecular meshwork is a well-defined, thin, rounded uveal trabecular beams which are having larger spaces which run perpendicular to this is the corneal endothelial cell which run perpendicular to the corneal endothelial cells. When in acute POAG, these endothelial cells gets swollen and with decreased spaces, there is suppression between the spaces mildly. Then coming to chronic POAG, because of the chronic inflammation settled there, so irregular. These are the irregular fan-shaped cells which are near to the corneal endothelium, which are covering the end of the corneal endothelium, and these are flat endothelial cells which are already atrophied in chronic PACG. Then this is the open angle glaucoma patient showing trabecular meshwork. So anterior uveal beams are thin, and these are the thin and strap-like, and posteriorly these are wide cells. These are posteriorly wide. These are strap and mostly filled with the inflammatory material. Homogeneous deposits are seen. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Anand. Anand, if ma'am is there for any comment?
Actually, I have informed ma'am. Actually, Devang ma'am is the preceptor, so ma'am not available at that time. So I have informed Ramanjit ma'am.
Okay, okay. So any questions, Agam? Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Shall Anand, we still have 6 minutes. You please ask some random question to resident from your PPT only.
So how pilocarpine acts on the trabecular meshwork? Can you please elaborate any 4
Bhabika Bansal, please answer this.
Hello, yes sir.
Yeah, please answer this question.
So the question is how the pilocarpine acts onto the trabecular meshwork in any suspect closed angle suspect patients or PCG patients. We advise pilocarpine. So how the pilocarpine acts?
I am not able to hear the question properly. Can you please repeat it?
Mechanism of action of pilocarpine in angle closure glaucoma. How pilocarpine helps in an acute attack of angle closure glaucoma. Bhabika, am I clear now?
Yes, sir.
So please answer this. If you don't know, say immediately. Then we'll shift on to somebody else.
Okay, sir. Actually, I don't have much idea about this.
Okay. Anuja Patil.
Yes, sir. So
Can you please answer this?
the pilocarpine is the parasympathetic mimetic drug. So it will act on the canalic receptor of the iris. Now, because the macular network is attached to the uh, roots of the iris, so whenever there is a contraction of the iris, the macular network is open. So it will be helpful
Anand,
in
is he right?
No, actually, pilocarpine there this acts on the anterior fibers of the ciliary muscle, which gets contracted and yeah, relaxes the trabecular meshwork, which gets open. These trabecular meshwork pores are get open and aqueous outflow gets increased.
Okay. Is it clear now, Bhavika?
Sir.
Okay. Anand,
Yes,
next
sir.
question. Anand, are you there?
Yes, yes, sir. So tell me some of the signs which seen in pseudo exfoliative syndrome. Apart from Shampulisi line just now I described, apart from Shampulisi line, what are the gonioscopic findings and anterior segment findings seen in pseudoexfoliative syndrome?
Gonioscopic finding, chalo, be specific. Gonioscopic finding in pseudoexpression syndrome.
Yeah.
Ragiv Khan. Ragiv, would you like to answer this? Agam, those who are not responding, mark absent. Okay. Ragiv is not there. Ragini, Dr. Ragini, we mark these two guys
Yes, sir.
absent. Huh?
Sir,
Ragini is there. Okay, Ragini.
sir, in pseudoexfoliation syndrome, in anteriorly in the pupillary margin, white flaky material can be deposited. Apart from that, sir, it can be deposited in the angles as well.
Anand, is he right?
Zonules are
Or you
also
want to add
taken in such cases.
angle findings? Anything else you'd like to add, Anand?
What is target sign, Ragini? Hello,
Yeah, Anand,
Ragini, are
anything
you
you'd
there?
like? I think Anand is already disconnected. Anyway, ठीक है, time is also up. So, okay, I think we should conclude here only. Thank you everyone for attending the class. Agam, please send the attendance to me and Professor Namita on email, as normally we do. Okay, and those who did not answer, in spite of showing that they are here, like Ragiv, you please highlight those names. I know we want to know those residents who are just login and forgetting to listening to the class. Okay. Thank you everyone.